Hi, my name is Sam Johnson and I am a voice teacher. Today I will be reacting to and analyzing Lanie Gardner performing Dreams, originally by Fleetwood Mac. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions come together and learn new things. They have so many classes on so many different topics. Some of my favorite ones include web development, photography, on graphic design, on music production, on fine art. Skillshare is cultivated specifically for learning, meaning there are no ads and they are always launching new premium classes so that you can follow your creativity wherever it wants to take you. And it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. One class that looks really interesting to me is Find Your Style, 5 Exercises to Unlock Your Creative Identity by Andy Pizza, who has the coolest name I think I've ever heard. And in the intro, he says that a lot of people think that creativity is thinking outside of the box, but he reframes it as finding what your box is so that you know how to get into it. And I love that idea. In the description, it says, whether you're a designer, filmmaker, writer, or musician, unlocking your style is the key to feeling fully at home with what you make. And I totally agree. And as a voice teacher, I think that one of the things that's most difficult is not teaching people how to sing. It's not teaching the vocal technique stuff. It's helping people find what their style is with music. I'm always interested in finding new ways to help others and to help myself find those things. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free trial of premium membership so that you can explore your creativity. Please check out Skillshare to support this channel and to learn something new. Oh my gosh.
Now here you go again, you say you want your freedom.
Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised if this was actually her singing, like a tape of her singing live, but it is a significantly processed sound, which is fine. Like, it's just important, I think, to recognize that people don't sound like that when they just sing in a room, and that the stuff that she has on her microphone is doing a lot of work. There's a fair amount of reverb on. We don't hear any of the extra noise of the room. It's a processed, finished sound, and that's totally fine. From what I'm seeing in the first few seconds, her mouth movements match up with what I'm hearing, so I think that it's still worth analyzing.
Listen carefully to the sound of loneliness, like a heartbeat drives you mad, and the stillness of remembering what you had and what you love and what you had.
Good. I do wish that I was hearing a totally live version of it, just because, like, there are certain qualities that I think are being smoothed over by the reverb. I just want to hear that stuff. It's really hard for me to be like, she sounds like this, when I don't know what she actually sounds like. But the finished product of it, I think, is very musical. It fits the times very, very well. There's a reason that this has, 14 million views on YouTube and probably a bazillion more on TikTok. Like, she fits really well. She obviously knows what she's doing using the cranberry juice. Like, she's skilled at fitting this role right now. There's a little bit of an extra breathy sound that we hear almost all the way through her voice, and that's the thing that I'm like, I just wish that I could hear without processing. So let's keep going.
Thunder only happens when it's raining. Players only love you when they're playing.
Okay, so the first thing that I'd work on with her probably is she has a tendency to kind of stick her jaw out forward, which is not a huge deal because what she's doing is working and it sounds good, but I don't love that habit for long-term stuff. I prefer teaching the jaw to just kind of hang down and back. So if you do this experiment with me, put your hands on your cheeks and then clench your teeth together really, really tight, and you'll feel this muscle pop out. Now, consciously relax that muscle and see what happens to your jaw. It should just hang down and back. So if you're putting your hands right here in front of your ear and you kind of rub up and down, there won't be a hole where if you are pretending like you're at a dentist and opening your mouth really, really wide, there'll be this kind of hole that pops open. And that's from this muscle from the jaw moving out of that track. So if we think of it as just being a hinge where that muscle relaxes and then it hangs down and back, that in my experience has been the least involved muscular action for how to use your jaw. And why does that matter? Because if you do this 5,000 times in a performance, it might start getting a little bit tiring to kind of move it forward like that. It is probably the most common thing that I see in singers. This is not an intuitive way of moving the jaw. I wasn't taught how to do that until very far into my vocal career, and it was kind of a game changer for me because it really reduced the tension that I felt building up over time. That said, like, is she broken because she's not doing it like that? Obviously not. She sounds totally fine.
Now here I go again. I see the crystal visions. I keep my visions to myself. It's only me that wants to.
Yeah, so when she went to the "it's only me," that part, she kind of flipped for the me, but there was almost no volume change. That's because of compressors. Again, that's just a thing that she is using on her microphone that's making some of the really quiet stuff get a little louder and some of the really loud stuff get a little quieter. People are going to tell me I'm wrong in my description of it, but that's how I understand it and how I use it. Basically, it's not a human sound inherently. It's human plus other stuff, which I think is great for finished products, but I think it's really important for us to recognize that. For us to recognize that in this performance, which like is manufactured to look just so chill and casual, right? But there's all of this other stuff on top of it. And I think it's almost like people growing up seeing photoshopped bodies and assuming that that's what a human should look like, where we will grow up and hear these essentially photoshopped sounds and assume that we're supposed to sound that way when there's a lot of steps between an actual human and this finished product. It's just important to recognize that because I think it gives us more realistic ideas of what our voice can be capable of and what we should focus on to start getting the high quality stuff so that we can get the record contract or get our friend who knows how to do really good processing to kind of work with us and take us to that next level. But not beat ourselves up if we don't sound exactly like these recordings when we're just singing in our bedrooms. So when she went to the that flippy sound, what happened with that is she just kind of let go for a moment and then she kind of gradually held back on into a more full voice belty sound when she came back down. It's only me, da da da. So just on that me, she let go for a minute, which most of the time when people flip, there's going to be a pretty significant volume change or there's going to be a change in breathiness.
Say women, they will come and they will go.
Good. That's a thing, that go, that kind of sound. Some people don't really pick up on that subtlety, but it's a very common stylistic thing, going from that O to the oo back to the O. Another example is in the Alicia Keys song, If I Ain't Got You, where she says, roses, roses.
Some people need 3 dozen roses.
The singers who come in wanting to work on that song with me, a lot of times that's a big struggle of a thing because the pitch changes and the vowel changes, and it's hard sometimes to be able to hear the difference between those two things, where we'll hear a change, but it takes training your ear to be able to understand what all is changing. Because a lot of people will just go roses versus roses. Same idea with go. Because as you change that vowel, it does change enough of the harmonic information that people will hear like, something kind of funky is happening. I think it's important to recognize that we're looking to have independent control over a bunch of different qualities, over our airflow, over our muscle resistance, over our vowel, over our pitch. So if we are changing the vowel, like that's one thing, that's an independent thing, and being aware of what that vowel change is outside of everything else is really important. So you can do that just speaking it. Go, and then you can add in the pitch. Go, or however you want to actually do it. But it's an important thing to kind of be able to train yourself to hear. And it seems really simple, but a lot of people struggle with it, so there's no shame.
When the rain washes you clean, you'll know
I like that last flip she did where it kind of gradually joined back into her normal voice, but man, I really wish I was just in the room, that I could hear what she sounds like in the room bouncing off of the walls rather than the final finished product. That's what I'm about. That's why I try really hard to find as raw of performances as we can. And unfortunately, that just doesn't exist too much because the standard is this sound, which is totally fine. But like, it's hard as a voice teacher to be like, they're doing exactly these things because there's too much information that we don't have control over. When she goes up to the highest note she does in full voice is an A, which is not high. And that's when she goes to the love and to the waiting. When she does the love, it's kind of a very open vowel. Players only love you when you're play. It's kind of that really open But when she went to the waiting, she didn't imitate the same vowel quality. If she wanted to make waiting sound more like how she was doing love, then we'd have to open it up a little bit more. Love, way. Way, but she's going into more of a we, which I think is actually a nicer way to start preparing for the higher notes. Because like A is just really not that high, but if you hold on to the same way that she did the love, it sometimes becomes more difficult to start going higher because it tunes us into a belty yell kind of harmonic formant relationship that becomes very difficult to break out of on those high notes. So what's more important is how we're preparing for them. So it's interesting hearing those two. One of them is just much more open and the other one is a more narrow kind of vowel. And that's one of the main things that I work on with all of my students is when to open a vowel like she did and when to kind of narrow a vowel like she did, both for preparing yourself to sing the rest of a phrase, preparing yourself to sing the rest of a song, or also just which is the most appropriate for that specific moment. She sounds really good. She's really cute. Like there's so much that's going well for her, but I wouldn't use this as an example of like the most exceptional sound vocal performance that I've ever heard because I can't hear enough of it and it's really not super challenging, but like it fits all of these other boxes. And I just think that I would tend to listen to the Stevie version because I like the Stevie version. And for me, like covers that don't change much, I don't want to listen to personally. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Ring the bell so that you get notified of any of my uploads whenever they happen. And go check out our sponsor. Also, have a great day. Thank you.